the second part of my series reviewing the entire Mission Impossible franchise leading up to Mission Impossible Fallout coming out later this month. If you've been paying attention, you realize that this video was supposed to come out last week, but unfortunately life kind of happened. My wife had been out of town. I've been trying to watch the movies with her, so I fell behind. A new Marvel movie came out, a new Purge movie came out, so I'm a week late, which means today I'm going to drop two different Mission Impossible reviews, so part 3 is also coming out today as well. That's how all of this is going to work. And so we're talking about Mission Impossible 2 in this particular video, and this one is widely, almost universally considered to be the worst of the franchise, and a very odd direction to take things coming off the first film, and very different from what came later on afterwards. It's just kind of this strange film that's out there that was actually very successful at the box office when it came out, being like the highest grossing movie of the year 2000. The soundtrack was a big hit. Metallica had a song on it that was all over the radio summer of 2000, and kind of peak coolness for Tom Cruise with all these big action shots in the movie. But then as time passed, it was just not well received. It didn't stick with people right. And the franchise kind of didn't put any movies out for like 5-6 years. Then they came back years later. So it's a very interesting movie in the middle of the franchise, in the middle of Tom Cruise's career. And its legacy is also quite interesting. But possibly the most interesting thing about this movie is that this movie led to Hugh Jackman being cast as Wolverine in this weird, strange, roundabout way. So originally, Dougray Scott, the main villain in Mission Impossible 2, was cast as Wolverine, and he was an actor that had a little bit more fame than Hugh Jackman did, especially in the year 2000. And so that was the plan, but then when they had to do more reshoots and kind of the filming of this film kind of was extended, he had to drop out of playing Wolverine. So then this theater actor from Australia named Hugh Jackman comes along, and they cast their backup guy in the role, and well, here we are 18 years later, and everybody knows who Hugh Jackman is, and Dougray Scott was the villain in Taken 3. So, fun fact about the history of this movie and how important it was to Hugh Jackman's life. With that said, let's get started talking about the movie, and we'll kick it off with the good. For most people, the best aspects of this movie are the action sequences. It was directed by John Woo, and John Woo was extremely influential on how action was shot in the late 90s and early zeros. And like his influence is all over The Matrix and the way the Wachowskis decided to direct the action and the guns and the look of things. All of that comes from the work of John Woo. And so he'd started to transition over to Hollywood in the early 90s, and that finally led to him getting this big blockbuster. He had Face Off and he had Broken Arrow before this, but getting big franchise, biggest movie of the year blockbuster in Mission Impossible 2. And so you get very trademark, great John Woo action in this movie, and even some stuff that's not even trademark John Woo, with Tom Cruise doing like martial arts flip kicks and type stuff. That's not really John Woo's trademark. He's known for gun action, not karate kick action. And so there's even some elements to that of some interesting new things for John Woo to do with giving Tom Cruise kicky flip things in the movie, as well as just even the way it's shot, the cool factor of Tom Cruise scaling a mountain and things like that. It has a very distinct way that the action is shot and handled that in many ways does tie it to a particular time period where the John Woo style was very popular, with the slow motion, the shots of our actors trying to look way too cool and things like that. Impractical double gun action or two cars spinning next to each other. Things like that happen an awful lot in this movie. But it's thrilling and exciting, at least for me. I enjoyed that style of doing action, and you get, in the second half of the movie, you get quite a bit of what you want from that type of thing. Also, I can appreciate that the movie is in no way a rehash of the first movie. It doesn't tread on any of the beats of that movie. And I mean, it's not him getting disavowed again. It's a totally different type of mission, type of plot, type of story, very different take on even the Ethan character, and you're seeing him doing different things. And so I can appreciate that they didn't just try and rehash what worked before. They gave us a totally different movie. And, well, from there, let's move on to the bad. And on the bad on this one, they tried something different, and for the most part, it's pretty boring. I've never particularly liked this movie, and I take that as someone that's a huge fan of John Woo's Hong Kong work, and even most of his 90s stuff. Well, all of his 90s stuff. I mean, I like Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Face Off. I love all those movies. And then I was so excited that he was going to direct this movie. And then the first hour, it's an hour and 15 minutes before you really get the first action sequence. And it's not because Ethan is doing a bunch of, dangling from the ceiling spy maneuvers or spy action. It's like this drawn out plot line about Ethan trying to woo this thief. And he's supposed to recruit her and decides to romance her in the mix. And then turns out that she's the ex of the main villain, and he has to send her in to... this whole kind of like convoluted love triangle that's like, what? Why is Ethan doing this? Why is this the direction that they went? And why is it taking so long for the real plot of the movie to kick in? Just such an odd direction to go with kind of everything about the first hour of this movie. I just don't understand what they were going for a spy movie. And it, like, in many ways, it's far more in common with a James Bond movie than in the rest of the Mission Impossible franchise in either direction. The original one or kind of the more recent pacing and style of the J.J. Abrams version of it. Far more in common with a Bond in that Ethan Hunt is suddenly trying to woo girls. He's sleeping with them. There's love triangles and things like that. In ways that you just don't see that in the rest of this franchise in this way really at all, and makes for a very strange movie. And even kind of trying to figure out why does this not work so well? And it feels like the big turning event that happens at about an hour and 20 minutes into the movie involving our thief character and what that kind of changes the urgency and the vibe of the movie, feels like that should have happened at like 40 minutes into the movie. And you kind of you're not even, if you take that first hour and 15 minutes and you shrink it down to 35 minutes, you're not even really rushing it, because it's not like there's a bunch of plot there. It's just, you need to recruit this girl to kind of go in undercover, and then so you can do that in 15, 20 minutes. She goes undercover, starts relationships, and then things go awry, and then what happens in the movie happens, and Ethan has to then, instead of having that just being this third act climax, you make that the spy stuff of the movie, if he's trying to do spy type things to fix, cure, all that sort of. And I just don't understand why they didn't go in that direction with the movie. And so it just feels so drawn out in all the wrong ways. And then it feels like it just cuts out the entire middle of the movie, because it goes straight from building relationships in exotic locations while they're romancing each other and staring into each other's eyes to like, whoa, we got a big shootout coming. Just like that, so sudden, jarring shift in the pacing, in the tone, because an hour and 15 minutes with almost no action other than a very unnecessary car chase to show these two characters romancing each other, something like that, to then 30 minutes straight of action type things happening. And also what kind of this leads to a problem with the movie is that it doesn't really feel like a spy movie. It's certainly not compared to the rest of the movies in it, because he's trying to woo someone to send her in to go do something. And then there's kind of a spy sequence in that around that hour and 15 mark, but none of it doesn't have what you want from Mission Impossible, which is get the team together, make the plan, and then execute the plan. That's not really what this movie is. It's like recruit the girl, watch her date some other guy, kind of have one mission in the middle, and then action movie, third act. And that's a problem. And then one other thing that's just in this movie, especially in light of the later movies, it becomes more obvious that there's the overuse of masks that can just be created and changing appearance, and nobody picks up on the fact that these people are all different heights and everything. Just masks are able to solve everything, and you can just get a mask everywhere. And Ethan apparently has a mask making machine in his back pocket or something like that. At least the problems with the movie. So overall, I've been trying to like this movie for 18 years now. As someone that loved the first movie when I first saw it. So excited John Woo was brought in to direct it. And then the movie itself disappointed me when I was 18. And here we are 18 years later. You could do the math on that. And it's still just, I don't like it. If I'm going to watch a Mission Impossible movie, any of the other ones, I'm down for. Kind of at any point in time, they're all really good to me. And this is the only one that feels like I have to do homework to try and watch it. Especially that first hour. I just don't understand where they were going. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't draw me in. It doesn't interest me. That's not what I want from a Mission Impossible movie. It's just such an odd thing that they did with this film. I'd score this one a C+, and on an entertainment level, I'd go with like a 5.5. It's professionally made well enough. It's slick in the way that it's produced, but the story is very boring. It's uneven. It's very light on action, thrill, spy stuff, until suddenly it goes full action movie. So for me, it's not one that I particularly enjoy watching all that much. Though it's not a total train wreck of a movie. So anyway, that's my take on the movie. How about you tell me down below in the comment section, are you the defender? Are you the one that loved this movie? Let me know your thoughts on it. Tell me down below in the comment section. And if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos. I like to go back through old franchises leading up to new releases. It's been a lot of fun to do that, especially this year. I've done several of those in a row, and that's what you're watching right now. But the key thing is I don't want to just talk about movies. I want to talk about movies with you. So please join me down in the comment section. Let's have a lively discussion. And as always, thank you for watching.